Today, we're talking about the power of your mindset, including how neuroscience can help you use manifestation to your advantage during your menopausal years. Welcome to my channel. My name is Kate Hartley. I share a weekly video with you every Monday around something related to menopause. If you've got anything you want me to cover in a future topic, just drop it in the comments or send me a private message. You can find me on Instagram at Kate Hartley UK, and I'll be happy to add that into my rotation. Today, I really want to dive deep into this. By the way, there is a link in the description box if you want to join my sensory manifestation workshop starting on the 27th of April. I'd love to have you in there. You will need to fill in the form because it just helps me keep everything organized. And I'm going to be diving into the neuroscience behind manifestation. Today is going to give you an overview of that. A lot of people think it's woo-woo. It is not. And I have been practicing this on myself recently because the last 18 months to 2 years have been literally vile. Lots of things have gone wrong. We've had deaths. We've had disasters. We've had my business completely ended abruptly, financial worries, things going on with the house. Apart from divorce, which I've already done, pretty much we've gone through all the big life changes in a series of a few months, and it's been pretty crazy. I noticed that my energy was really, really low. I was stuck in that rut, and I'm a really positive person. I'm very solution focused. I'm very practical. I'm pretty realistic. I'm also a psychotherapist, have been practicing for nearly 20 years. And I realized that my mindset was bad. I was in a funk, and I took constructive action to lift myself out of that rut because I know what it's like. When you get stuck in that rut and you feel, you just feel like you feel irritated with yourself, you feel irritated with people, the world, the universe. Your energy level is low and you don't necessarily look after yourself the best way that you might otherwise do. And in actual fact, I have only just really recently got back into my workouts, my strength training. And if you watch this channel, I bang on about strength training all the time and its benefits. I had about 6 weeks off, and partly because I was really, really, really busy and I had to really focus on just a few things that I needed to get done. And with working on my mindset, I've got back into my strength training, which then just further boosts your sense of self-esteem, your energy levels, your health, your productivity, your mental health, and it all builds upon each other. So I realized my mindset really needed some serious working on, as is the case for a lot of us. We get stuck in these things, and there is no failure, there is no judgment, there is no negative self-talk. Do not do that, because when you're negative self-talking, you're hearing all that stuff and it does not serve you. So by changing my mindset, by working on my sensory experience of what I wanted to achieve in my life, not just material things, in fact, very few material things, how I wanted to feel in my life, that sense of freedom, peace, security, contentment, just that being able to wake up and just not have that stress and that fizz in the background all the time. That is what the sensory manifestation workshop is all about, and this is what I'm going to explain a little bit about today, and we'll dive in and we'll actually create your own sensory vision board and affirmations. I'm going to be providing lots of resources for you on the 27th of April, and for those that show up live, I'll also be diving more into an audio version of it, because that way it enables you to, on the days when you're really busy, because I don't have time to sit every day and look at my vision board and read all my affirmations and write them all down and think, oh, yes, lovely. I don't. It's impractical. So when you have the audio version as well, when you're in bed, if you wake up throughout the night, or if you wake up once during the night, before you go to bed, when you wake up in the morning, listen to it for a few minutes. I've recorded two separate versions for myself. They both intimate the same sort of thing, but they have slightly different words. I include some of my favorite affirmations in that. I just lie there in bed. I woke up last night at about 2 a.m. Somebody's dog in the vicinity woke me up, and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I put my one of my visualizations on, and I didn't even finish it. But we use nice music in the background. You don't have to worry about commercial rights or anything like that. It is such a powerful way of making you change your energy. And when I started to work on that consistently, it made the biggest difference to me. And I can even tell in how I'm showing up on videos and things. few weeks back or a couple of months back, I was like, my voice was even low. I just did not have that spark that normally I have. And I feel like I've got it back. And I think that is, I was still eating quite well. I was still sleeping okay-ish, despite the worries. A few nights were pretty awful. A few weeks of sleep were pretty awful. And it wasn't until I changed my mindset and manifested the feeling that I wanted to introduce into my life, welcome into my life, that things actually started to change for the better. And it's really weird how these things happen. You just don't expect it to. And there are things that you might not even have within your radar right now. But when you change your energy, things just come for you. And it's like life suddenly starts to work for you. I believe that life is always working for us to a degree, but we're all magnetic, energetic creatures. Even the rock outside, or rocks outside, you might think they're not moving, they're vibrating. They all have a vibrational, energetic movement. So while you can't see it, it still has an energetic imprint, same as you do, same as I do. And we attract what we put out. Energy attracts similar energy. So sometimes it's up to us to think, okay, the problem's with me, as it was with me, recognizing that, not being judgmental about it, because life is freaking shitty sometimes, but then taking strategic action to lift your energy. And it's not going to happen overnight. But when you can have that sense of, oh, yes, that feels really nice, that is you lifting up your energy. So it's not an immediate overnight thing. It's not suddenly going to help you win the lottery. And I say that in big inverted commas, because I think we are all conditioned to want the material things. You want the brand new car, or you want the bigger house. And actually, sometimes that's not what you need. You just need that feeling of security and peace. Yes, they're nice things to have, but do you actually need them? And how many lottery winners literally go absolutely bankrupt within a few years of having won the lottery? It's crazy. I don't know how people can waste so much money, but they do. It's a common fact. So it is very much about creating that sense of security and peace in your life and fulfillment that then can lead to those maybe material things that you want to have. You know, for instance, I have a very old car. I like my old car. She's functional. She's called Bertha. I absolutely adore her. I want to keep her going for as long as I possibly can do. I'm sort of sentimentally attached to her. I feel like we've been on similar paths in the last few years. And I would love to be able to just give her a complete overhaul, but I'd still keep my old car. But that's just me. If I had like masses and masses and masses, I might eventually get myself a 356 Porsche, because I've always wanted one of those. But I don't care if I don't get it. That's not going to make me happy. It'll be fun, but it's not going to make me happy inside. I'm not identifying who I am in life with the car I drive. And the way society is these days, people will like drive these incredible cars and live in crappy houses because they're seen to be living the life that is supposed to mean abundance and success. We really need to define what success means to us individually. And I think if you're watching this channel, you're probably very similar to me. Success for me is that feeling of peace. It's that feeling of security, that I know I've got enough to manage well, that I can look after my kids. I can help out with family things when those need doing. But it's not about having the big, shiny objects. It's almost actually about getting rid of some of the crap and just getting on and really simplifying life, but having the experiences rather than the clutter of just more stuff. So that's what we'll be discussing a little bit today, but I want to go more into the neuroscience of it, because people do think it's woo-woo. They think, it's just a load of rubbish. It's not going to work. It's just like people trying to make magic happen in their lives. It actually is about making magic happen, but it's about you using your brain and how the brain works and neuroscience to actually make that magic happen. So firstly, mindset. Let's just have a quick go over mindset, particularly when we go through the menopause with our falling hormones, our fluctuating hormones. Some days you might feel great, other days you feel vile. You might feel great when you wake up, and then like 2 minutes later, you just this rage takes you over. That's completely normal, particularly in perimenopause, when your hormones they're all over the shop. So again, take away the judgment, your self-judgment. This is something that your hormonal symptoms are a message that there are a few things off balance in your body, and some of them you can probably help improve. Others you may need to sort of sit in, hold on tight to that surfboard and ride the wave. I don't take HRT myself. I've never needed to take HRT. I don't really want to take HRT. I'm 54, went through my perimenopause early. I think I was done with the whole thing by around about sort of age 41 to 43. Had pretty vile symptoms when I was in my perimenopause, didn't know what I know now. This has been a very long journey, and this is why I love sharing it with you, because I know there are people out there who don't want to take HRT or who can't. So I hope that what I share with you will be of benefit to you. But mindset is absolutely key. As a psychotherapist, mindset underlines literally everything that you do. All of the thoughts that go on in your head are creating emotions in your body, and those emotions determine the actions, the behaviors that you take as a result. They're all interlinked. So sometimes it might be you have the rage, which is obviously a very emotional situation, which then affects your thought processes, which then affect how you behave. You throw the plate at the wall, or you stomp out, or you shout at somebody, and then of course then you have the regret because you feel guilty, or you've upset the apple cart, as it were. So firstly, understand that you're in a very fluctuating situation yourself. Your body's going through a lot of changes. You might be somebody who actually needs HRT to help get you on an even keel, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just know if you're taking it or you're being prescribed HRT because of low mood and depressive feelings, it's been proven that HRT does not help with mood-related disorders. If that is the case, go and see a therapist. Give me a call. I will have a consultation with you. I offer everybody a free consultation before I have a proper consultation with you, or a proper session with you, because it's important that you have that rapport with your therapist. That's really, really important. So if you're going through that, I would chat to somebody professional, because then you can find out what's causing it. It's the root cause. It's likely to have happened from your childhood. We bring all our sort of main decision-making tools, as it were, some of them a bit wonky and a bit rusty, from our childhood, and how we responded in our childhood, how we were nurtured in our childhood or not nurtured in our childhood. And again, there's no blame. Your parents are probably doing the best they could. They may have been absolutely sucky parents. I have a lot of clients who've had terrible, terrible parents. Maybe they were still trying to do their best at that stage in life. I don't know. But you just know that if it's a low mood problem, I would recommend going to see a therapist first before you get prescribed antidepressants from your doctor, because they are proven not to be effective with low mood and depression associated with menopause and perimenopause. So as our sex hormones are fluctuating wildly, it does have a profound impact, or it can have a profound impact on your mental health, how you feel. And that then has a negative impact on your energy levels as far as physical energy, but also your get up and go, and also how you feel about yourself and your self-esteem. Most women that I speak to who are perimenopausal or postmenopausal, they are struggling with their sense of self, their sense of identity, and their self-esteem is like bang on the floor. Then talking about energy, when we are creating positive energy, and our mindset is right, we're attracting positive energy back. When our energy is off, when we're negative and we have those self-limiting thoughts that we all have, but you're allowing them to stop you in your tracks, that then has a negative outcome on the choices that you make, because you're probably staying stuck because of those self-limiting beliefs. We all have them. I promise you, I've been absolutely plagued with them over the last few months. But you either allow them to keep you stuck or you work through them. And when you do work through them, combine that with the manifestation, it really does help to improve your energy levels. It improves your focus. It improves your sense of self-esteem. It gives you that feeling that you're going to survive no matter what, even if the near future looks very bleak. It gives you that sense that if somebody stripped away literally everything in your life and you were just left you, so no home, no car, no job, but you were left by yourself, sat on a rock somewhere, how would you honestly feel in yourself? I challenge you to think, you would probably think, this is pretty shitty, but I'm going to find a way through this. And it's that I'm going to find a way through this that we want to build upon. Even if you have absolutely no idea how you're going to find that way through, you know that if you had literally everything stripped away from you, somehow you're going to start again. Now, just diving into the neuroscience of manifestation. The brain does not define the difference between imagined reality and reality. So whatever you're imagining inside your brain, it takes for real, known as mental imagery. So if you imagine yourself playing the piano now, the same areas in the brain are going to light up and be activated if you imagine playing the piano as if you were actually sat at a piano playing the piano. So imagine the power that that has when you're thinking negative thoughts, the fear of the stuff that you don't want to happen, versus thinking about that positive imagery, that experience that you want to bring into your life. And we all have that choice. Often we're doing it subconsciously, and I can't remember how many millions or trillions of thoughts it is that or bits of data that we are bombarded with every single day. It's a huge amount. And the brain will only be consciously aware of a tiny, tiny fraction of all those units of information that we're being bombarded with. I mean, right now, the ambient temperature, the humidity in the air, how you're breathing, how your heart's going, how your left earlobe is feeling, what's happening with your right toe right now, what are the birds doing, are the cars outside, what's the sun doing outside? All of these things, can you hear the fridge humming in the background, the clock ticking, all of these things that we drown out, we phase out because we have to, because otherwise the brain would go absolutely mad. Could you imagine being aware and alert of literally every single little thing that's going on? How your clothes feel against your body? Everything has an impact on you. So the things that we are aware of are the things that we want to try and control. And we want to bring an awareness to the fact that we can control our thought processes. We can control whether we're ruminating and being negative again. And often it will happen, it'll slip in. It's a bit like meditation. People think meditation is being able to sit there and your brain is completely empty. Maybe if you're like a meditation master, that's absolutely true. I'm rubbish at meditation because my brain is always like, I'm fizzy all the time. And it's something I probably ought to try and work on. But I'm focusing more on my manifestation. Meditation is something that I think would be brilliant. I rather do deep breathing because I know deep breathing, it does bring down that stress response. And when you're able to do that, combine that, bringing down that stress response with your positive manifestations and your visualizations that we'll dive into in this workshop, that has a profound impact on what you notice. So the beneficial stuff rather than the not so good stuff. And when you're feeling or when you're noticing those negative thoughts coming through, or that inner dialogue that's negative, you're like, oh God, you're so stupid. I can't believe you forgot that again. Or, oh, what a dipstick to have forgotten this. It doesn't serve you any good at all. But by being able to recognize that, you can think, oh, I'm doing it again. And having that awareness around that enables you to then eventually replace that with more positive inner dialogue. Oh, I was like really, really busy, and it's because I'm too busy that I forgot that. It's normal. I'm not a robot. I'm not ChatGPT, as everybody's talking about right now. It is being human and allowing yourself to be human and giving yourself grace, but also taking positive steps and action in order to improve how your mindset is working and serving you. There is something called neuroplasticity, and this is how the brain lays down neural pathways, new neural pathways. So just imagine pathways in a field. The more you walk that pathway, the more the path becomes trodden, yeah? So with something like, say, playing the piano, when you first start to learn your, what they call chords, I used to play the piano years ago, I can't remember it now, chords, I think, it's hard work. You're trying to think, your fingers are all clunky, you're hitting all sorts of the key, the white keys, the black keys. It's a complete mess and it's very frustrating. And then eventually, with practice, laying down these neural pathways, you get better at it. You create this habit of being able to do is it keys, chords? Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, whatever it is. If you're a pianist, I'm really sorry, I've completely forgotten what the actual term is. But with practice, you get better at it. And then all of a sudden, one day you'll think, oh, I'm going up the F major, minor, F minor, F sharp, whatever it is, keys. And all of a sudden you're doing it. And I think the F1 includes some of the black keys as well, if I remember from, and B, I think, contains some of the black keys from my experience when I was a younger person. And all of a sudden you think, oh, I can do that quite easily now. And then you practice more, and that neural pathway, that neuroplasticity becomes more entrenched, and you get better at doing your piano practice. Same with when you learn a song, any song. If you want to learn the lyrics from a popular song now, when you first try to learn them, it's just like, oh, crikey. Well, I don't know about you and me and lyrics. It's ridiculous. I've learned all the wrong lyrics throughout the entirety of my life, and I still sing the wrong lyrics now. But it's when you're learning things effectively, you probably read the lyrics before you try and learn it, you will eventually learn the lyrics and they'll stay with you. And it's like if you're an actor, when you learn your first script, it's going to take you ages. You're probably writing it out, you're listening to it, you're reading it, you need a lot of practice. But as time goes on, your brain becomes more attuned to learning scripts. And so it takes a lot less time. That is neuroplasticity. The same thing is similar if somebody's had a stroke and they have no movement in their bodies at all. And there's several amazing accounts of this happening. And they're lying in their bed, but they're just focusing on their brain's working, and they're focusing on moving their little finger, for instance, or their thumb. And there's no movement at all for weeks. But because they're lying there and they're focusing on that movement of their little finger or their thumb. And then one day, eventually, there's a tiny movement in that little finger or thumb. That is neuroplasticity. That is the brain creating new neural pathways. Obviously, then, if you can move your little finger or thumb, you can start to rebuild the connections throughout the rest of the body. And of course, yes, it's going to take a long time, but it's possible. And that is neuroplasticity. When we are thinking about the situations that we want to encourage into our life, so that sense of security, that sense of freedom. Freedom is one of my top values. That sense of peace and how it feels in I've got two what I call my perfect day visualizations that I sometimes read as well, but these are the things I listen to regularly. It's all warm, there's sunshine, there's fresh air, there's the fragrance of wild herbs, there's the flowers in it, there's the sparkle of water there's the reflection of water on my ceiling. I don't know where it is. I don't really know what the house looks like. I just see the rooms or how the rooms feel to me. And that evokes so much peace and happiness and just comfort when I think about that. And by me thinking about that regularly, I'm forming these neural pathways to create and welcome in that situation. When I bought this house here in Scotland, it was bonkers. I have an image on my vision board, that image board back then. And when you look at the top from the loch, so I'm about probably a 15-minute walk from the top of the loch, a 2-3 minute drive. And I'm overlooking the loch here. From the top of the loch, and actually when we came to see the house, we parked in the car park at the top of the loch while we worked out where this property was. And the view down the loch is nearly identical to a view that I had on my vision board, which I think is one taken in Canada. But the mountains rising up on both sides of it, even how the mountains stack behind each other, it is uncanny. And I used to look at that image, and that was one of the favorite images on that particular vision board. And it wasn't until I'd moved here and I was driving past the top of the loch, just like, I'm sure that's nearly identical to the one on my vision board. And so I checked it off against each other, and they are so similar. You will not always achieve everything that goes onto your vision board, because sometimes you do not need it. And your subconscious, a bit like when you're in hypnotherapy, your subconscious will always protect you. So, you've probably heard of the iceberg analogy. What goes on above the surface is tiny compared to what goes on below the surface. Same happens with our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. So when we're manifesting, we're really working on galvanizing and energizing that subconscious section of our being, of our awareness. The logical thing might be you saying, oh yeah, but I really want to get that new, I don't know, car, whatever the model make might be. But your subconscious might think, actually, no, you don't want that because it's completely against your values. You driving around this new spangly car is completely out of alignment with who you essentially are. So you will not always achieve everything that you put on your vision board. And sometimes the things that you put on your vision board will come into your life and then they'll go out again because, again, they're not aligned with your true sense of your authentic self. And that's the beauty of it. It will serve you well based upon your true self. Because the energy that you're putting out there, it's like my vision board or my perfect day audio things that I've got. When I listen to it, I love big houses, but I also love smaller houses. I like shacks. I would happily live in a yurt. I love yurts. I love camping. I'm much more of a hippie than I am living in some grand Georgian mansion. And my perfect home it's really natural. It's lots of wood. It's got big doors. It's got loads of sunlight in it. It's big enough. It feels really comfortable. There's lots of greenery there. But it does not look like a sort of mansion type house. It's a much more organic, earthy feeling place. And I think that's where I would probably end up, is somewhere like that, because I just love that. I remember having a dream about this. It's almost like a shed over water or very close to water, and the doors were open onto this water and it was warm. And I can even see the desk where my desktop is in this like working office shed type thing. And there's a bench with a cushion on, and it's just really warm and it's natural and it's really simple. But that's how I would ideally have my life. That's what I love, and I'd much rather have that and have the experience of, I don't know, traveling and be able to help family more and things like that. So because that aligns with my true values, that's why I think the power of this audio visualization is so important, because you're not saying, I want to live on such and such a road in such and such a house or in such and such a neighborhood because of the how it looks and all the glitz and the glamour that might entail, because it may not align with your true values. And that is where the subconscious section of this comes in, which is where we tie it back to the brain's neural pathways. Because if it doesn't feel right to your subconscious, no matter how hard you try and manifest that, it's probably not going to happen. So I hope that explains in simple enough terms how the neuroscience ties into our energy, our subconsciousness, and how you can generate and bring that into your future and start working on it to create your perfect experience of life. So here are a few practical tips to help you shift your mindset and start to bring in those things that you truly want that are in alignment with your values. So firstly, you need to be in a relaxed state. We are designed as humans, or when we were evolved, to live in the parasympathetic state, which is our relaxed response. The sympathetic nervous system, which is your stress response, your freeze, fight and flight response, is designed for short bursts of activity. So you run away from the saber-toothed tiger, kill the warriors trying to invade your tribe and eat your women type thing. But just a short burst of that. The problem is now, as life is, we live in the sympathetic nervous system. So we're always stressed. We're always in that fight, flight, or freeze response, nearly always. but we're not designed to live in that state. So we need to purposefully, actively work on relaxing ourselves. Deep breathing is one of the simplest things that you can do, and it brings down your stress response. You cannot be stressed and relax at the same time. It's a complete physical impossibility. And you might say to me, oh, but I'm always stressed. There's no way I can bring on that relaxation response. I challenge you to try it. You can. Deep breathing will necessarily, so say deep breathing is the water and your stress response is the fire. If you keep pouring water on the fire, no matter how big that fire is, eventually you're going to put that fire out. And the same applies to your deep breathing. And it can be really simple. Don't worry about all the technicalities that you may have heard out there. Breathe in through your nose, 4 or 6 seconds. Hold it for 4 or 6 seconds. Breathe out through your mouth or your nose, ideally your nose. It doesn't matter, whatever feels better for you, for 4 or 6 seconds. Hold it out for 4 or 6 seconds and then repeat. That's called box breathing. So maybe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold it out for 4. Okay? Or 6 or 8 or 10 or 12, depending on how experienced you are, how relaxed you are with holding your breath and not having breath in your lungs. Because if it's the first time you've done it, you might feel a bit panicked, particularly when you hold the breath out for a few seconds. And if you can, breathe it in for longer, hold it in for longer, and breathe it out for longer, and then not hold empty lungs for a while, again, don't worry about it. Just do what you can. But by doing conscious breathing, you bring down that stress response, which is what you need to do in order to put yourself into the best state for listening and manifesting your ideal situation in life. Next is to probably write down in the first instance negative beliefs that you hold, self-limiting beliefs. So do you see yourself as a failure? Do you think you're never going to be wealthy? And I say wealthy because wealthy doesn't necessarily just mean monetarily. I think it always helps if we can pay our bills plus a bit extra. But wealthy might also be feeling really happy in your life, settled in your life. So really dig down into what your self-limiting beliefs might be. Are there any narratives that you've grown up with that you're finding hard to get rid of? For instance, me at school, as a primary school student, all my reports said Kate can do better. Kate is lazy. Kate this, Kate that. And I look back at them now, and it's fired me up. I've become one of those probably overachievers to try and prove that wrong, I suppose. But I didn't realize that until I become a psychotherapist and I realized my own behavior patterns. Is the fact that when I got to senior school, I started to excel. I'm not the brightest person. I have to work really hard to get my qualifications. A few things I can get the hang of really well. I'm a helicopter pilot. I was a really good helicopter pilot. I loved learning about weather patterns and physics of why helicopters stay up in the air. I never even studied physics at school. It wasn't even a subject. So I think when you can learn something that relates to something that you're passionate about, it's amazing how well you can learn these things. I eventually became head girl at school. And it's only because I think I just tried. I did fall in love with the teacher. He was this lovely old English teacher that I had. And he really gave me a sense of I can probably do more than everybody's labeled me to do. And I think if I hadn't had him, I don't know whether I'd have achieved what I've managed to achieve so far. I credit a lot to him. He was a lovely old man. But and I'm a perfectionist. I still drives me nuts, and it's something I try hard to work with every day. And I still have to battle the perfectionism. So it's not about getting everything right, but it's working within your limits and understanding where you're being overly something that may be coming from, a self-limiting belief that you've grown up with. You may always have been poor, monetarily poor in your family. And so you've grown up with that narrative that you're never going to have that money, that you're never going to be able to achieve that financial independence or security. You might see people driving around in the big cars and think, how the heck do they ever afford that? And often it's because they're on hire purchase and they can't really afford it, or it's a company car. But that still feeds our belief that we are not enough, that we can't manage to do that. And these are the things that you just need to be aware of. What is that inner dialogue saying to you when you're driving around and you're seeing these like amazing cars? And yes, some of those people have worked bloody hard and they're probably taking a lot of risks and they're enjoying the fruits of their labours and brilliant. Again, I think if we're feeling negative about people who enjoy the niceties in life, that is, again, it's a self-limiting belief. It's a negative thing that we need to get rid of, because why would we judge them? Why would we be jealous of them? We should be happy for them because they've shown that working hard. And yeah, of course, there are some entitled people, they're lucky, they just inherited lots and they go waste it. Well, they're not the sort of people that I'd be thinking, yeah, well done for you. But there are a lot of people that have worked really hard and they've taken the risks and they've probably faced failure several, if not many times before they've got to where they've got. We all look at everybody else and we just think, oh, they got that really easily. It's a doddle. They're just lucky. But they probably weren't. Some will be and some won't. And it takes a lot of guts and effort to create those lives that, we look at and think, oh, it'd be so nice to have that. But I know also a lot of people who are incredibly wealthy financially. They have all the stuff. And inside, they're just lacking. They're empty. They're a shell. Money definitely will not make you happy. It can relieve pressure when you can pay your bills and a bit more, but don't rely on having money as the main goal because it will not fulfill you. And there are a lot of very, very wealthy people out there who are as poor as anything on the inside. So next is actually bringing your manifestation to life, your visualization to life. They're pretty much the same thing, visualization, manifestation. I like to interchange them, I suppose. You can do it through affirmations. You can repeat affirmations daily. You can write down what are the best ones for you. I will be sharing a huge resource of affirmations for all types of different types of affirmations in my workshop. You can write them down, you can say them. Find what works best for you. A lot of people will say, okay, look at it, read it out loud, write it down 3 times, and maybe choose 3 favorite affirmations for that particular day. And that might take you sort of 20 minutes to go through that. I don't do that. I don't have the time. I listen to my affirmations as part of my perfect day audio that I'll be sharing with you if you turn up live. You can create a vision board, which I'll also be doing in the workshop. I'll be showing you how to use Canva. If you don't know how to use Canva, it's really simple. You will have to open a free Canva account. So what I would do is click the link below in the description box first, and then make sure that you're reading the emails that I send through to you, because there'll be a few tips of how to get prepared, ready for the workshop. So you will be having a free Canva account and I'll be showing you how to put a vision board together. And then after, you can still go and tweak your vision board and bring it, keep adding to it. I added something extra to mine the other day. We'll be adding affirmations to your vision board. We'll be creating your perfect day outline. And if we have time, we'll do a couple of perfect day outlines, because that is what you can listen to regularly. You can read it. I make mine really pretty visually as well, but I rarely look at it because again, at the minute, I just don't have that time. So I will listen to mine throughout the night. I listen to it in the morning before I go to bed, and it works. If I'm in the car and I think, oh, I've got 10 minutes, one of them's about 10 minutes long, the other one's about 5 minutes long. And it's just really lovely to listen to. And I have music that leads into it. So it gives me time to, if I'm getting into bed, it gives me time to settle down. I've got some nice music to listen to, and then my affirmations start. And then that leads into my perfect day audio. And then I've got music that, I listen to afterwards. So if I'm in bed and I'm, ready to go to sleep, I play something that I really love, and it's just soft music, and normally that sends me off to sleep. But it sends me off to sleep with all those visualizations of that sense of peace and security and just contentment fresh in my mind. And since I've been doing that, my sleep has improved so much, because it's taken away that nervous fizz. It's taken away that sense of I'm floating in a very, very deep channel and I'm getting tired and I can't keep above the surface all the time. That has given me like a little buoyancy aid underneath me, and it means that I've always got my head above the surface. And I cannot tell you how profound that has been for me. And I do it consistently. And that is the next point, is you have to do it consistently. Don't do it for 1 week and then think, oh, nothing's happened. and then drop it. That's why having all sorts of different ways of approaching it, whether you look at it, whether you say it out loud, whether you read it, whether you listen to it, so it suits your best way of being, it has to be done regularly. And when you do it regularly, you will see changes occurring. And it's fascinating and really exciting when these things start to work for you. Finally, if you want to dive into this even deeper and you actually want to put a vision board and get your perfect day audio put together, join me on the 27th of April. I will be sending out the recording to those who can't make it live, but I really recommend you do make it live, because we'll be going into so much stuff that you can do interactively during the workshop, and you will get so much more from it. And at the end of the day, if you're thinking, no, I definitely I need to just change my approach, I need to lift something in order to get something better back, make sure that you can make it. And I know not everybody will be able to make it, of course. Life gets in the way, and it might just not work with your schedule. It's 5 p.m. UK time. So the World Time Buddy is a great app if you're not sure if that aligns with your time zone. And of course, we're all moving into summertime. Well, unless you're in Australia and New Zealand, in the southern hemisphere, you're moving into your winter time. In the northern hemisphere, we're moving into the summertime. So, make sure that your summertime and winter time adjustments are right for 5 p.m. UK time. We're now in British summertime. So that you don't miss it by an hour, which would be a great shame. And I will be sending out the replay afterwards. So I hope this has been helpful to you. I know it's been a bit of a long one, but I think it's I really want you to understand how powerful this is. It's not woo-woo. There is so much science behind it. I've dropped a few references in the links in the description box below too. So to recap today, we've explored how the brain can help support your dreams in alignment with your values, to be aware of your subconscious, or the power of your subconscious, because a lot of what happens in your subconscious you're actually not aware of. That's the whole thing about the subconscious. It's not your logical brain. But when you can apply this sensory manifestation in such a way that it aligns with your values, and then you can become more aware of your negative self-talk, your limiting beliefs, it does help you create that energy that attracts what you want to bring into your life, to give you that sense of peace, security, whatever it might be, that is right for you specifically. There's a lot of people out there making an awful lot of money around this subject. And even I invested in a course a few years back, and it was okay. I honestly can't say it did anything for me. But I think when you really align deep down with your negative thought patterns, you spot them, you're willing to do a little bit of work up front, and then you create this ideal, well, I like I say, I call it my perfect life visualization. You can then listen to it, or you can read it, you can watch it, you can look at it, it's just so beautiful. And because it's aligning with your core values, it is profoundly empowering and impactful, and it will start to create positive change in your life. Remember, the brain does not differentiate between imagined reality and reality. So you have that choice. You can make your imagined reality incredible, lift your energetic vibration, and start to attract that positivity back to you. Or you can be really skeptical and stay stuck in that mire of negative mindset, and you will just keep getting that negative, lower level vibration energy back. You probably haven't got the nicest friends. You're probably stuck in that situation where maybe your relationship or with your significant other isn't particularly rewarding or fruitful. But you can choose which you want, the negative or the positive. And I promise you, when you start to choose this positive side and you imagine, I cannot tell you how happy and peaceful and excited and calm I feel when I listen to my perfect day audios, or when I read it. I love looking at it too when I have time, because it's really pretty. I love reading it. It's my treat. And just imagine when you're putting out that positive energy and you're getting that starting to come back to you, done consistently, you will change your life. So believe it, take steps forward. Join me if you can on April the 27th. Look forward to seeing you there. And thank you for your company and look forward to chatting with you again next week.